So the next flex container property we'll be talking about is what we call flex flow. Flex flow is just simply a shorthand for flex direction and flex wrap. So instead of writing flex direction separately and also writing flex wrap separately, just as we have here, we can just say flex flow, then we add the flex direction followed by the flex wrap. So let us do it. We want to give a flex direction of column and also give a flex wrap of wrap. So let us do this using the flex flow. That's a shorthand method for this. So I can say flex flow. So first of all, I'll say wrap. I will say the direction first. Direction comes first. So I will say, since we want the direction should be row, then the give space, then I will now say wrap. So let's see. So okay, we used column before. So I'll use column. To look exactly how we wanted it to be. So this, what is happening, it still became how we wanted, how it was before. So flex flow is just a shorthand of flex direction and flex wrap. So the next topic I'll be talking about, the next container property I'll be talking about is the justify content property. The justify content property is also a container property. I'll say justify content. So we have different value for the justify content property. We can justify it center, we can justify it flex start, we can justify it flex end, we can justify it space around, we can justify it space between, we can also justify it space evenly. Now the justify content property is used to align the flex item when they do not use all the available space on the main axis. So this simply means that I'll also reduce this so that we can see it properly, we can see how it works properly. I'll reduce the number of items here. So if it may use all the space available, justify content tells us what should we do, how should we align it. If after maybe adding wrap or after flexing our container, after adding flex to display flex to our container, and do not take the whole space, how CSS has a special way of flex, CSS flexbox have a special way of aligning it so that there will be no scattered spaces around. So that's what justify content does. So to justify it, to practicalize this flex, this justify property. Now justify means how do we arrange this our item on the space here, like on the space from this way. How do we arrange our flex items on the space here along this main axis, right? That is from between up and down. How do we align our flex items? Now how do we do that? So we have different properties, as I said earlier. The first property we should look at, justify content center. So let us see what will happen when we say justify content center. See, it has carried all the flex items and put them exactly at the center here along this line. Do you understand? It kept them exactly at the center. So let us see flex start. What flex start will be? This is another value for justify content. So let's say flex start. So flex start is pushing it, is actually the default, right? Where it is at the beginning. So let us see flex end. Now it has brought it down. So it's just moving it, instead of using positioning and all those things, it's just moving it along this axis. Let us also see what it will give us if we say flex space around. So it also brought the item and gave them space around it just to make sure that it aligns with the, if you check here now, the space here and the space here are the same thing. The space here and space here. So flexbox will distribute space in a way that your items will align the proper way. So let us also see another value. We have space between. That's also done the same thing. Now space between, the difference between space around and space between is that space around, even at the top here, it added space. Now space between, this one is here, it gave equal space between each of the items. It gave them equal spaces here. So the next property we should also check is the next value is space evenly. So this one worked like space around, right? But in space around, the space here and the space here were equal, but the space here and space here were not equal. So space evenly, we look at these three items and fix them in a way that all the space around there are equal. I hope we understood this. So the next property we'll be talking about is the align item property. Align item property is another container, flex container property, right? Whenever I say flex container property, please, we should always have it in mind that what it simply means is that that property can only be used on the parent element. You don't use it on the child element. So this container property will be used on the parent element, and the parent element will call them the flex container properties. While the flex item, which we are going to talk about later, we'll add them on the flex item property. But discover something. Some of these the flex container property that we are adding on the container is affecting the flex item. Is that okay? So now the align item properties now arranges our items along this way, along the vertical axis. This is actually vertical, but in this case, this align item will push them along this line, horizontal, push them along this way. Like, since this one is taking them from up to down, align will take them from right to left. Now let us see if that will work. So let's say align items. So we also have different values for align item. Let us start with center first. Now look at what happened. I know for a while now some people have been asking me questions. One of the questions they ask: how do we make something to be exactly, if we have an item, how do we make it exactly to be in the middle of a div? So this is how we do it. Whenever you say you give let me just, instead of using justify context, let me also add justify context center, so that everything will be in the center. Now if I want to make an item to be exactly at the center of a div, so I will just create the first div and make that div the parent container, or the container, the parent element, and add whatever we want to put in the center. We will add it as the children div. So what we can just do is to say display flex on this flex container. We will now say justify content center, align item center. It will automatically bring it to the center. Now the justify content center, we bring it to the center on this from top to bottom, right? From top to bottom, it will bring it in the center here. That was what justify content did. Now, why align item property shifts it to the center from left to right? Is that okay? So let us see other properties, so that other values I mean for align items. So let's change it. We have done center. Let's say flex start, which is what it should be at the beginning. Let's say flex end, it will shift to the left. Let us also say stretch, that it should stretch. That's another value. Stretch. This one is not showing significant. Okay, so let's change this to, well, I think that stretch is just what will be there, even if, let's make this row. Remember, this flex direction, then this flex wrap. So it's not, so that stretch is automatic, that's why it's not, it's like the default. So even if I add stretch now, it will still be the same thing. So it's just like the default, that's why it's not showing. So the next property we'll be talking about is align content. Align content is work just like align item. It's just that align item focus on the items, while align content focuses on the lines, like on each line of this flex container. So let us just do align content. Let me say flex end and see what happens. You see, it just shifts everything. It is not taking consideration of the item itself. It just shifted everything down to the end without taking consideration of the flex item, how long they should be, how whatever. It just shifted it at the end. So it's looking at the line, it's taking into consideration the line. It's almost the same thing with flex item. So let us also change this thing to start. So the same thing. So this is it for flex item and flex container properties. Is there anyone we are missing out? So these are the properties we use for flex container. These are the flex container properties. In our next video, we'll be talking about the flex item properties. Now, flex item property is when you want to do something to maybe one of these property, instead of doing something to them at the same time. So let us add a space. Okay, can we do something? Let's add space between all these ones. So what we'll just do, we'll just say justify item space between. They will have spaces between them. Very good. So this is it for this class. Hope you understood what we just finished learning. If you don't, please feel free to ask questions. Thank you.